He was an Italian. Actually, he was an apothecary from Genoa. An ordinary apothecary from Genoa.
Yeah.
It just happened that he knew more chemistry than anyone else
Anyone
in
is in
England.
England, yes.
What year was that?
That was in the 1640s.
1640s, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was in this period.
England
An
was very-
ordinary apothecary from Italy knew more chemistry than anyone in England.
And the Civil
We've-
War didn't help that
No, it didn't help
spread of
that.
knowledge
Right,
at all.
well, we've said over and over again in convention after convention, in articles and on the bar over and over again, that so many people come into the 1632 community and they're going, oh, the 1600s, everyone was largely illiterate,
Mm.
and true enough in England.
In England, it's true.
In England, it's true enough, and in Germany, it's just completely not true. Everyone is,
It's
for
even-
some definition
It's
of literate.
even not true in Scotland
No,
Or Ireland,
No.
or Wales,
or Sweden.
or
Right,
Sweden.
Or Sweden, but England being
England was almost the only country on the continent of Europe where the aristocracy had a deliberate policy of keeping most people illiterate.
Yes.
right, as opposed to in the Germany's, the statement that you've said over and over again, literate in the sense of being able to read printed material and write on a chalkboard.
Yes. Literate to what the schools themselves at the time considered a fourth grade level.
Mhm.
And
Able
that
to
means
able to do business.
enable basically people to do business, which means that I've done this. Have any of you, except the ones who come all the time, are you familiar with the level at which different subjects were introduced in the schools at the time? Okay, let's talk about writing. Children are taught to write with chalk on a slate.
Mhm.
When I was growing up in the 1940s, 1950s, typing was first introduced in high school.
Mhm.
Now kids keyboard in kindergarten.
Yeah.
In the 1630s, really from the introduction of printing and the ready availability of printed matter on, the ability to print with chalk or a pencil, pencils were available,
Mhm.
on a slate was an entirely different skill from being able to write with a quill and ink, which was not introduced until what there amounted to secondary school. After you were out of the village elementary school into the fifth grade through eighth grade
And so that would be
secondary
about
school,
10 to 12?
10 to 14. That was when you could be trusted with
Liquid ink,
with a penknife,
a penknife, and
with a block of carbon,
yeah.
with an inkwell in which to mix the carbon and the thing. Handwriting was not taught until the upper elementary level, and therefore the need to read handwriting was not taught until the upper elementary level. Which means that a German who had no problem whatsoever in picking up a printed newspaper and reading it, or the printed Bible and reading it, could not necessarily write or read a letter that was handwritten. He might have to take it to somebody who knew how to read handwriting, and if you've ever looked at early modern handwriting,
And I have.
it was as variable and frequently as horrible as ours. Again, in the next story, I have the Duchess Claudia and her uptime amanuensis puzzling over the latest letter received from Duke Bernhard. And I assure you, historically and genuinely, he had one of the worst handwritings ever produced by human left-hander.
Left hand with a quill. Oh, gosh.
Left hand with a quill.
Oh, jeez.
Well, she's shown us in previous years photographs of the stuff that she's talking about, and I swear to God, she can read it, and it's random squiggly lines across the piece of paper.
And loops.
I mean, and with loops, but just random squiggly lines across a piece of paper. If there is semantic content there that you're not inventing, it's completely beyond my ability to interpret. I know you taught classes on how to read, but
Well, it's a skill set. I took a summer seminar to start with. It's given at the Institute for Reformation Research, which is not on but off the campus of Concordia Theological Seminary in St. Louis. Can you imagine why it's off the campus? Because they have lots of women attending it, and heaven forbid that the Missouri Synod of the Lutheran Church would have women on their theological. May
heaven forbid.
Heaven does forbid.
So they
At least in that
so they
Missouri.
have this, just outside the gates. It's funny. They have this line of townhouses for social workers, for Reformation historians, for church organists. You know, for all these people who
Happen to be women.
happen to be women but need something that they're teaching.
And presumably you can place a library request from off campus and have
No,
it
actually,
delivered.
the library is right inside the gate, and you can go inside the gate and use the library.
Well,
That's a
how
di-
liberal of them.
That's a dispensation, right? We'll give you a dispensation.
Yes. Hmm?
Yeah, really.
What?
How forward thinking.
Tim?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, you guys are talking about Lutherans and Baptists, oh my, but you haven't even begun to throw the Jews into the middle of this.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's another
That's
section,
another-
please.
There's a reason for that.
That takes whatever's going on with the Lutheran liturgy in Psalm 93 before Psalm 67, God forbid, and just triples it,
Yeah,
I think. But-
certainly. But you have this, and you have then, the question is, so you have literacy, you can communicate to people with the printed word easily.
And math. They did a lot of.
And basic math. Weird Tech had a wonderful time with, how complicated it is to do a
Computer.
computer and a calculator and things like that. But I swear that one thing they're going to introduce from Grantville right away, because a bunch of the old guys will have them. My grandfather had them.
I used one.
He held them. You know what I'm going to talk about?
Slide rule.
No.
Oh. I used
My
a slide rule.
grandpap was a farmer. He kept it in his pocket. It was a little oblong of metal.
Those little metal
And
slide
then you had a
calculators.
stylus, and you just pulled
Yeah.
the numbers up and down. I mean, those will be manufactured by the hundreds of thousands long before they get one four-function calculator
Computer.
or computer
Yeah.
out, and they will be all over the place, and they're going to be all the math that the average person needs. This is something that scientists have trouble dealing with, but here I am. I have not failed my way through life, but the highest math I ever took was advanced algebra trig and solid geometry. And it's the highest math I've ever needed beyond statistics. For what I do, sophisticated mathematics is
Not necessary.
not necessary. It really, really isn't. Now, it's going to be different for my grandchildren. Marie finished Calculus 1 in high school. her senior year in high school and is, heading on into beyond AP calculus and AP statistics into all sorts of advanced things in college. And she plans to go into early childhood education with a secondary major in music education, but she still figures she's going to need the math in a modern
And that may change in the next,
What?
knowing college freshmen, that may change anyway.
Oh,
so.
no, she's known since she was a freshman, and not freshman in high school, but
Yeah.
she came home for her first day in kindergarten announcing, I'm going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And she has not wavered one iota. She has been on Project Timothy, which sends teams of would-be teachers out to high-needs areas. She spent a summer in El Paso, Texas, bringing immigrant children up to speed before they started school in the fall. She does what they call the Taste of Teaching program all the way through high school, in which they take kids who think they want to be teachers and put them, well, she was going to high school in Wisconsin, and they put them in the Milwaukee inner city schools for 2 days, 3 days, sometimes even a week at a time. She's going to be a teacher. This girl is not going to change her mind at this point.
You're describing my early life. I'm not teaching right now. So.
Are you trying to say she resembles a glacier? Trying to stop one?
In many ways, her life is real.
We have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. What counts as, or looks like, a tube of
Look.
chapstick actually is Yamaha premium cork grease. Having a woodwind player in your household results in tubes of cork grease lying around at random to be picked up so nobody slides on them and falls, and then enveloped and mailed to the owner. But she's not going to change her mind. But this again, the question of, how do you push the ability to write in handwriting is going to be something that the technology of the Ring of Fire really will change. The arrival of the fountain pen and then the ballpoint pen will make writing with ink accessible much earlier, just as keyboarding is now accessible to children much earlier than it was 2 generations ago.
In New Mexico, they've announced that they are no longer teaching handwriting in the elementary schools. They're not teaching it at all because they're keyboarding, and they teach.
A school in Massachusetts that has no libraries. They got rid of the libraries. Everything's online now. So.
But see, there will be technological change, and this type of thing will come. But I really wish that more of our authors were focusing on where the impacts will come, rather than approaching it from the perspective of, I have a gadget I really love, and I want to write a story about my widget.
Okay, so give us some examples of where the changes are really going to come.
We've been discussing that for an hour.
Actually, we've been talking about
We were required to go sign.
Yeah, I understand.
I
but
was
gonna go
talking
do that
about
now.
the comparison of